I have really bad news, guys. Not for any of you.
Welcome to Dungeon Brew.
Welcome back, everybody, to Dungeon Brew. We are back again for the 9th Ascension. This is episode 9, and we apologize, but we had a little bit of technical difficulties. We're going to give you a quick recap of the things that have occurred so far from our heroes returning with the claw of the red dragon that they did last episode. So they have come back to the city. It's about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and they have been split once more, where Dawn and Mihail have headed off to the Carrion Council in order to deliver their claw, and 𝐸 and Eretmir headed off into the city to find an abandoned forge in order for them to start crafting some weapons, although they know it is against the law. So we're going to just give you, again, a recap of some of the things that have occurred in each one of these before we pick up the game again. We'll start with Mihail and Dawn, who came back to the Temple of Marhina, where they quickly found 𝐸 Gabriel standing in front of several members of the council. They saw that Dragoslav, Estera, who is 𝐸 mother, and Serena were all in assembly, again with the 𝐸. And in front of the 𝐸, he had the charred corpse of 𝐸𝐸𝐞 in front of them. And a conversation kind of took place where Mihail and Dawn were invited into the conversation to help investigate the body in hopes of identifying who the aggressor was. So Dawn and Mihail, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of give some recap of some of the highlights that occurred in that conversation.
We made a lot of rolls by the skin of our teeth that allowed us to successfully determine a couple of key important information. Basically, all of it was implicating that 𝐸𝐤𝐞 was to blame, such as having the codex down the throat of Nemeth, and we also had one of the council members, Estera, examine the body with 𝐸𝐤𝐤 to determine that void magic was used as part of the murder situation, and then I actually withheld the information about the codex because I thought that it was a little bit too... Not only would it implicate myself and the rest of the people that had forged the false document, but I also felt like there was a little bit too much leaning towards 𝐸𝐤 that didn't make sense to me, so I withheld that information from the 𝐸.
And just to be clear, Astaria had rolled a critical roll on her check of the body, and she identified elemental magic, earth magic, and void magic on the body is what she had shared. So what else, Mihail, do you want to pull out as a key moment in this conversation?
After Dawn examined the body and figured out whatever he could with Estera's help, Mihail revealed some information he had kept hidden during his trial with the Archon in the Ninth, and that Gabriella had told us during her rants that 𝐸𝐤 and Goran were in a relationship. And given her attitude during the trial, Mihail had opted to not bring that up, but did so in front of the Carrion Council and 𝐸 Gabriel as evidence towards her having some kind of collusion with Nemeth's fate.
Mm-hmm.
He did say that he did not have enough evidence to properly convict her or think that she did it, but everything does seem to be pointing to her, and advocated to find her and question her with the Archon's proof.
Yeah, it seems as though the plan was to go and find her and bring her before the Archon for questioning. Sorry, John.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, and then they were kind enough to inform us that they were going to kick the profane magic users out of the city. So Dawn got pissed, insulted the 𝐸, and walked off to go and start stuffing a bunch of books from the library into his pack and see to Need and his mother about getting their stuff together so that they could leave within the next 36 hours.
I think it's also worth saying that the 𝐸 got most of his information from 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 Assad in regards to 𝐸𝐤 and her brother fighting at Perundun as well. And then he went out to go look for 𝐸𝐤 with his own group of men, soldiers, and before Mihail got into Klukas to go kind of seek her out as well, to see if he could identify her, some information was shared about their next mission. Did you want to talk about that, Mihail?
Yes, but first, I will note that during the whole reveal around Karina, Serena seemed very smug about the whole situation. And given that that is Jeronim's mother, and Gavrail got most of his information from him, there might be a connection there.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, the Dragoslav told us that we needed to go to the south to an abandoned tower to find the Garifena and Gagana.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to deal with them in order to get the blood of one of these creatures.
Yeah, the Garifena. To get his blood for the ink for the Varkalok.
Yes, which should be the last component, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so now let's pull it over to Ț'rkan and Eretmir. They went out to go craft a couple of weapons, one of which they were successful with to some extent. They made a +1 red claw dagger that had both a positive and negative effect. The positive was that on a critical, it would heal all party members within 30 feet by a D8, but on a critical miss, it would cause a D8 damage to the wielder and cause them to drop the weapon at the same time. They then tried to craft a secondary weapon as well, but they failed in those attempts, and the weapon ended up collapsing in on of itself, so to speak. But if you guys would like, what were some of the highlights of your engagements at the blacksmith forge?
I just want to say that Erdemir succeeded at all he had to do to making the weapons. I don't feel like he failed on his end.
Way to throw Ț'rkan under the bus.
And he's hoping that we don't have to pay for any of the damage of when the other dagger turned in on itself and began to become acid and started to eat through the anvil. Erdemir was kind of ready to leave after that. But at that point, we had a shocking surprise or visitor, and Ț'rkan's admirer, it appears, showed up to say hello.
I think that's your cue, Ț'rkan.
Yep, she did. So yeah, I guess first off, the dagger. I failed at one, but I also made one, and that's the first magic weapon made by a Stuhian in 1,000 years, something like that. So I'm gonna pat myself a little bit on the back for that. Thank you.
Isn't that a new law?
Yeah, it's like a new law.
I don't know.
Passed 2 weeks ago.
You're getting old. Your memory is starting to fade.
Yeah, Ț'rkan got a lot older.
Did age again. He did age again. But yes, Karina showed up. Funny enough, basically looking for sanctuary and protection. Expressed her undying love for Ț'rkan in no such words, but basically she's looking for Ț'rkan to protect her because he protects the people, and that's what she's looking for. Claims she did not do it, but she also shared no love lost for her brother's passing. During the conversation, Ț'rkan doesn't believe everything she says. She's definitely hiding something, but he does believe her in the sense that she feels that somebody is attempting to frame her family name on the 9th and frame the 9th, or cause this conspiracy against the 9th as well. She did also reveal that she is pregnant, which is another reason she went to Ț'rkan, because she feels he will protect her in that sense, because his duty is to the people of Lierheim. So Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. It's like everything 𝐸𝐸₁ wanted, but nothing that 𝐸𝐸₁ wanted at the same time. Except, I don't know, maybe a kid? I don't know, it's weird. Ultimately, it boils down, maybe it's just 𝐸𝐸₁'s mom's trying to get him to have a kid, and this is the way they figured it out. So at that, 𝐸𝐸₁ also feels that she probably saw them make the weapon on that anvil using 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞, which has him a little backed into a corner because now she has that leverage on him. How that's going to play out, I don't know. But shortly thereafter, she parted ways and went back to her estate. 𝐸𝐸₁ and 𝐿rithmir met up with Mihail, and we basically swapped stories. Mihail informed us of Nemeth's body being found, what evidence showed, or what lack thereof. 𝐸𝐸₁ informed Mihail of everything but the whole pregnancy part. And then they met at, they went off to Karina's estate to basically watch her get arrested.
And that's
We had
where
met up with 𝐸𝐤𝐤 on the way to her estate.
Yes, thank you.
And that's where we have picked up at with 𝐸𝐤𝐤 and his posse, as well as 𝐿rithmir, 𝐸𝐸₁, and Mihail taking 𝐸rina before the 𝐴rchon in his courtyard. The 𝐴rchon has just been retrieved from his home and brought out there, standing before Karina. And Serdar 𝐸𝐤𝐤 will tell the 𝐴rchon, all evidence seems to be pointing towards 𝐸rina for the murder of her brother, and we have brought her before you to have whatever questioning need to be done and see that this is brought to justice. This is the charge that you gave me, 𝐴rchon, and I hope that you are satisfied in our investigation and the conclusions in which we have come to. And the 𝐴rchon will be stoic in his response, in eyeing Karina. You can see that he's kind of seething, holding back as much as he can from his own fury, and looking at her and say, I am surprised to hear that you would attack your own brother, taking up a position of leadership in the city and whispering in my ear about laws needing passed in order to secure the safety of our people underneath the gaze of Wolos, the Horned God. I imagine that we have no choice now but to place you through trials and understand the truth of what has occurred. And before he can get out another word, she will speak up and say, there is no need for me to go through trials here, 𝐴rchon, for and she will side-eye again towards 𝐸𝐸₁ and say, I will invoke the law of 𝐿aDuhc, and I will challenge you for the seat of 𝐴rchon. And if I win, I will resolve myself of these accusations.
Can someone charged under a criminal act call for the duel?
They can.
That seems kind of an oversight. Someone just charged of murder. I want to be king of the city. Yep. They either become king of the city or they're dead anyway.
It's kind of like Magic the Gathering, where like if you play a card, they can play another card that has to be resolved first.
Yeah, the gods will determine whether or not she is guilty, essentially, in the battle to come. There is a shock that goes up, as no one has ever invoked the law of 𝐿aDuhc since Leirhain has existed. It has been there, but imperial families have always reigned, and if an imperial family died and there was no one to take that reign, then the noble family that was perceived to have the strongest bloodline would step in, or it would be voted on by the council. So for her to invoke the law, this is actually a pretty big deal. A lot of gasps taking place around from the Serdar, the soldiers, the 𝐴rchon himself, who is considerably old in comparison to 𝐸rina, looks somewhat fearful about this.
Can the challengers like choose a stand-in?
They cannot.
A champion?
Mm-mm. Though his son could challenge her afterward.
Can they just
I mean,
advocate?
couldn't I challenge her afterward?
You could if I allowed it.
Well, I ain't gonna let her rule the city.
So I feel like Erdemir is going to be like scratching his head. So, what's going on? Is this
What's happening?
I'll lean over and whisper it to Erdemir.
So this is going to be a big bustle. The Archon will essentially say, "Very well. If you stand so sure of yourself, then we will have it now." And he will wave his hand, and the members will start going out, telling people of the city that they need to move towards 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, where the battle takes place, south of the city. She will start marching that way underneath the guise of the Surtur, and I keep saying Jonafel, and he will also be going with them. So the question that I really have, go ahead.
Sorry. So after she says that, I didn't even interrupt you. After she says that and she invokes that right, 𝐸 will say something. Archon, while evidence or lack thereof may point to Karina, and believe me, we have our own opinions on many things, there is not, in my opinion, enough evidence to point to trials. There's mere coincidence, but there's not, in my opinion, and I know Gravel says otherwise, there's too many loose ends. And well, again, Karina had no love lost for her brother. She's not sloppy.
Roll me a charisma.
Oh, damn.
With a 24, the Archon will level his eyes towards you, 𝐸, and say, "I am not comfortable with you speaking out against my Surtur, nor am I comfortable with you potentially standing to defend one of the accused who has now threatened my seat in the city. But I will look over both of those slights after I slaughter her in battle."
Your success means he didn't kill you too.
Well, I tried.
Well done.
how much time do we have before this battle?
It's about a 20-minute walk.
Okay. Is there like a warm up or anything? Erdemir just wants to know if he can go get food and then show up to this thing. And
Probably somebody walking around giving popcorn and
they have corn dogs there.
Can we get fish and gravy? I mean,
is Don being rousted out of his home?
That's the question I have. So there will be a lot of hustle on the street. Somebody will come into the Temple of Marhina and let everyone there know and start. I mean, the members there are, of course, going to be exiting to head down towards the place where they're going to be fighting at 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. You're going to see most of the town leaving. The question is whether or not Don wants to go and witness this.
I think Don is kind of having like an internal struggle with himself about like this being a really bad thing, because if she wins, which he feels like she is gonna, it's gonna be bad. But at the same time, like you said, it's never happened before, so it's kind of a historical event. So I think he will attend, given that his mother and daughter are coming with him.
Okay.
But in not really, Erdemir's going to go look for food. But is there a way that Erdemir would like to try to be close, or somewhere where he can kind of keep an eye on, like, if Jeranim and his mother, Serena or whatever, are sitting together or watching?
So I'll give a. Did that work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that this is set up, and this is probably unfamiliar to Eretmir, but the ruins called 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐤 are located again south of the city, where the mountains almost reach the coast. Again, never written in the history. Has this ever happened before? It's known that if this would ever take place, this changes the impact of like how bloodlines are perceived, what the perceptions of the 𝐾oldastavo are. The telling of 𝐮uhīan history can be impacted as well. And the way that it is structured is that usually it's the Carrion Council. In this case, the Ninth and the Carrion Council are going to be sitting near the battlefield among 6 stones that are called the 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 stones. These are golden egg-shaped stones that are each in the size of like a human skull. They're said to be petrified eggs of a golden dragon. And while they're in formation, they create this magical dome that protects any physical harm or the power of 𝐾oldastavo from passing through to the people that are sitting within that. So essentially, the Ninth Council and the Carrion Council are in this dome of protection that these eggs are creating, where magic can't come in and anything physical cannot pass into that. The rest of the citizens sit on stone steps and areas that are well beyond the area where they're looking down upon the battlefield. So you can't be especially close to the battle because if something gets thrown or whatever, you could potentially be harmed by that. But you can see the council from where you're sitting at.
Okay.
You can see what's going on there. And for those of you that are familiar, that are 𝐮uhīan, you would know that the 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 stones prevent magic from coming in. It does not prevent magic from going out.
And that doesn't protect the actual combatants at all.
No,
it's
not
just
at
the
all.
councils.
Just the councils to sit there and
So,
watch.
on that last comment you said, prevent magic from going in. So if somebody were to cast something on them before the battle, it would not carry over, correct? Like if you were outside the circle and then walked in.
Oh yeah, it sticks. You just can't cast magic into it. So I can't cast void magic into it or fireball into it. Like if you're inside the circle, magic itself can't penetrate the circle itself.
It's like a prismatic sphere or whatever.
Yeah,
no,
but people.
So I think your Karina can be affected by any magic that gets cast at her from the outside.
Yeah.
Because what he's talking about is protecting the Ninth Council and the Carrion Council, not protecting the combatants in the center of the ring.
Yeah, the combatants are free.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How close am I to Karina?
You're probably going to be about 30, 40 feet from her.
Oh, so the tokens aren't accurate?
No, this is as big as the map is.
On the walk to the ruins, how close am I to her?
Oh, as close as you'd like to be.
Oh.
Oh my.
Not that close. You are in front of people. I mean, you gotta.
Hey.
This is a PG.
It could be
There's no laws.
Last snog.
You want us to give a little music in the background for you? Boom, boom.
I assume she's being escorted by somebody.
Walking in close proximity, the Surtur Gabriel and some of the soldiers. I mean, they're not like holding her, but they're walking in like a square around her.
Okay. 𝐶𝐿 will first approach towards the Archon, and being of the religious sort, regardless of who they believe in, 𝐶𝐿 will ask if he can pray for the Archon before the battle. That would require him to touch the Archon, though, if that's allowed. 𝐶𝐿 will be forthcoming and say he's going to do the same thing to Karina.
Okay.
If it allowed.
It would be allowed.
Okay. So 𝐶𝐿 will first, because he feels it's appropriate, approach the Archon, say a prayer of, honor, whatever.
To Marhina or to Wolos?
He's going to do it to Marhina because that's who he believes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm letting your 24 get you away with this.
Right. That's fine.
Yeah.
And
Again, you'd be murdered.
And 𝐶𝐿 will thank the Archon. Archon, I know currently we have different beliefs, but I wish you the best, sir.
And he will kind of grumble underneath his breath, and he goes, I think that you should be speaking to Sir Mihail about your allegiance and perhaps get into the same line in which he has fallen.
He's not going to say anything. He's just going to bow and fall back. And then he's going to do the same thing to Karina. However, he's not going to say a prayer. He will just place his hand on her shoulder and, as they're closer, cast aid on her.
Okay. Tell me what aid does.
+1 to hit, +1 to saves against fear, and 1d8 temporary hit points.
Okay. And she, of course, will recognize this, feeling the flow of magic into her. And she'll say, Sir Khan, I appreciate you speaking
And
for me.
I'm going to interrupt her. And say, Marina, watch over you. And I'm going to fall back.
And she will.
Does no one notice him casting the magic?
That is a question. I guess. I mean,
You
you can check and see if people
so
notice.
it is. I mean, it's verbal.
Mm-hmm.
It is a touch. There is some semantics with it. Hand movement, but I assume
So would that be like int check, wisdom check?
It'd be int checks. Well, if you're looking for other people to notice, it'd be wisdom. If you're trying to notice, it'd be int. So I guess first.
I mean, I can't roll for anyone else. Just would I notice what he's doing?
Yeah, first roll me an int to see if you notice.
I mean, there's not like any light coming out of my hand, right?
No.
No,
Yeah.
but we can feel the magic and whatnot.
But you guys can feel magic being cast. That's like when you guys were in the tavern.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, when you guys were in the pub and he was seeing what type of magic they were casting.
Yeah, like when I was trying to eavesdrop, I had to worry about everyone in the building, not just who I was eavesdropping on.
Okay. That's fine.
So you just said a prayer for the Archon, and then he feels you give her aid.
AIDS.
I said aid, not AIDS. Oh.
All right.
Sir Khan's gonna die, guys.
Ron, you're eventually catching up.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I would imagine I'm a little bit behind everyone else. They had to go roust me out of my. So I'm not near all of this touching.
Okay. Well, you all will eventually make your way. Everyone's going to be seated. It is getting fairly dark. I mean, it's probably actually dusk. You have a moon in the sky. It's giving some light, but it is hard to see everything that is occurring within the area, which is going to impact you guys' ability to make like spot checks of things that are occurring because of how dark it is. But as you guys kind of move and get comfortable, you see the two different councils sitting down. The first round is going to start in combat between them. I need
before we start the fight.
Yeah.
Mihail would like to interject as the two combatants head towards the arena.
Oh, okay.
All right. As the two separate from the guards and everything, I'm gonna look at Gavrail as he takes his position, and then I'll look at the Archon, and I'll say, in the spirit of an honorable fight, do you mind if we dispel any magics or enchantments on either person before you enter the ring?
Roll me a charisma.
I love it.
Yeah, the Archon's been juicing while he's been getting there. So
Oh,
damn it!
Did not
One
make that
off.
roll. I am getting fairly tired of you individuals continuing to try to interfere with a process that has not yet been done and still trying to lay your name and claim to the way that it should be done. Step out of the circle, Sir Mihail. And I'd like
back
also
up.
roll me an intelligence, if you will.
Yeah, that's the roll I needed.
With a 25, you see that he has some magical things that are circling that are not necessarily seen with your void magic, because he too uses void magic.
he's juicing.
He's juicing.
I will nod at him and back up. showing no indication that I noticed that.
All right, a wisdom from everybody.
Yes! Critical.
Oh wow.
Eretmir, with your critical miss, you are just amazed at the sight of what is about ready to go down.
He's still trying to think about how he wants to interject before the fight and what he'd like to say, but
Sir Mihail with his critical, 𝐸_𝐤𝐤 at the 19, and Dawn at the 25 are all going to be fairly aware of much that is going on at this time. Lazar, who is proficient with elemental magic, is going to begin with swirling a vortex of fire, sending waves of intense heat towards Karina. She is going to counter this by sending illusions of towering ice constructs, creating a defensive barrier of frozen mirrors in front of her to kind of stop that fiery onslaught. And then Lazar is going to try to breach that defense, but before he is able to, Karina utilizes time and space magic herself to distort reality and causes some sudden shifts in the battlefield terrain. At this time, the three of you are going to look over towards where the councils are sitting. You will see that Serena is mumbling underneath her breath. So the three of you will see Serena Assad. You will see her mumbling underneath her breath quietly within the protective enclave that the other councils are sitting.
Can we see who she's affecting?
Yeah, can we see what magic she's doing?
At the time that you notice her doing that, you will see that Karina is thrown backwards almost 20 feet in the area at the same time that Lazar puts his hand out. But with Mihail's previous roll, you know that he didn't cast magic when he did that. And you will see that Karina is thrown back about 20 feet. She will try to launch a counterattack with bolts of lightning, striking down in front of her to stop him from advancing any closer on her.
Dawn doesn't give a shit. He's just watching.
So, from what we saw, Serena is helping the Archon?
That's what it appears to be.
Okay. I'll leave it be at that.
All right. Round 2.
So who's around us right now?
Most of the citizens. You guys are sitting like in the bleachers with citizens everywhere.
we're in the nosebleed section.
No, we're all important. We're up in the front row.
Well,
Are we in the splash zone?
There's only like 4 or 5 rows, and there's just people sitting
Yeah,
around
and we're in the
everywhere.
front row, goddammit.
We're gonna get splattered with blood.
Where's
Yeah.
Gabriel?
We're in the splash zone.
Gabriel is up there with you guys. He doesn't get to sit with the councils. He's sitting.
𝐸_𝐤𝐤
up
will
there
make his
with
way over to Gabriel, and point out what he believes he saw. He's not going to accuse her, but he will tell Gabriel. He's going to point it out to Gabriel. Not that I think Gabriel's going to do anything, but he will point it out.
No, Gabriel is a very lawful individual. He is. I mean, he is going to grit his teeth and kind of jerk his head real sharply in that direction. Roll me a charisma to see if you convince him. And with a 19,
Nice.
you see him stand up and start making that way through the crowd. Round 2. Here we have Karina having some additional tactics and counters with some rapid manipulation of earth and air. She's creating a storm of razor-sharp stone projectiles and gusts of wind to try to disrupt anything that Lazar may provide towards her. He's going to respond with some intricate illusions. He's going to create multiple copies of himself to try to confuse her targeting of what she's throwing at him. And as she struggles to determine which illusion is the right one, I would like you guys to roll me another wisdom. All right, let's see here.
No.
Eretmir at the 15 does not make it. 𝐸_𝐤𝐤 at the 14 does make it. Sir Mihail does not make it at 11, and Dawn does make it at the 15. So 𝐸_𝐤𝐤 and Dawn, you guys are going to see a root with a spike on it come out underneath the ground and pierce the underside of Karina's foot. Almost like going through the bottom of her foot, and she is going to fall down onto a knee. And as that happens, Lazar comes forward and creates a blade out of air and starts to bring it down towards Karina.
I guess on that route, is that something Lazar did? Can we tell?
Lazar doesn't use primal magic. That's a primal magic thing.
Oh, that's primal magic.
Yeah, controlling the roots and stuff was primal.
Oh, okay.
Again, Don doesn't care. He's getting kicked out of the city. He's just watching with amusement.
He's got that evil glee in his eye.
Who on the and refresh my memory here? Who on the council? Either council it uses primal.
Generim was a primal user, wasn't he?
Jeranim? Serena is.
And Serena's the one that we caught the first round.
Yeah,
doing magic.
Varga Reika also is.
Question of clarification question here. As Karina's casting this magic, and I assume that she's getting older, does that mean the baby in her is getting older too? Like he's just gonna like pop out?
Yes.
Is this a Benjamin Button situation?
That'd be awful. No,
that is the best question. That is the best question. What happens if she gets to be 80 and she's still pregnant? Is that going to be okay?
So 𝐸⁻ will go ahead and
Gavriel's moving pretty quickly in that direction at this point.
how close is he?
He's more than halfway there. Like he'll be there next round.
Okay, so 𝐸 will. He's gonna be 90 by the time this thing's over.
You're not already?
No, not yet.
I mean,
I'm
I
only
was
60.
112.
I don't know how old I am. 𝐸 is gonna go ahead and he will stand up and yell, "Gravelo veros more!" And he is actually going to cast. He's going to cast a spell magic at the root, not at Karina, not at the Archon, but at the root itself. Because I assume it's lodged in her foot, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right.
So it is not. It is not meant to evening the flow in 𝐸 eyes.
Okay. So I don't think you need a roll for this. You'll be successful in dislodging that. And when you do, she is quickly able to move to the side and bring up her own blade of air and catch his.
I do have to roll because that's 7 for today.
I thought you just rolled earlier.
I did.
Well, you had one. How
one
much
from
have
the
you
dagger.
spent?
One from the dagger. Aid's a 3rd level or 2nd level spell, so that's 3 mana.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Dispel is 4. So
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, I forgot the aid there.
Oh look, my constitution went down some more.
Do Erdemir and
Charisma went up.
Don notice this?
I mean,
You
I
guys
stood
did
up
not.
and cast
I think
it.
everyone
no,
would.
𝐸
with
casting.
𝐸. Yeah, 𝐸 you would.
Yeah, I stood up and cast it.
Erdemir is probably going to look like over to Don because I think we're probably sitting together and see like the gleeful hope that he hopes both of them die or something, and just be like, "Is this supposed to happen? Because I feel like this is bad."
I mean, this has never happened in the history I know of. But I'm pretty sure people aren't supposed to jump in there, 𝐸.
No, the law is pretty clear, but apparently obeying the law is not that important anymore.
Yes, people are not supposed to jump in, but Jaranim is casting primal in there.
Oh, I figured you were up with
Where's
Rivera.
Jaranim?
I didn't think you were with us.
Jaren's in there.
I think
he's on the
𝐸 yelled at Gavrail, but I don't
Yeah.
think he actually moved towards him.
I thought he
No,
went
I
to
did not.
Gravale first to tell him about it.
Oh, like did he like move over,
Like,
like
he-
moved up a couple of rows or something?
Yeah,
Or,
like, I don't-
Gavrail was sitting near us.
Yeah.
I don't,
Okay, I was just trying. I didn't know where 𝐸, so I guess all right.
But
All right.
I went
yeah,
up I went up the bleachers and back down.
Yeah, Don is with you. He's like, no, this is not the way that it's supposed to go.
Everyone's gonna like, do I need to like be ready with my axe or what?
I'm not fighting.
I would say that there is quite a bit of chaos right now, as 𝐸 clearly casts in the course of the battle that's taking place. But the battle is continuing to rage within the circle between the Archon and Karina, even as people start yelling at 𝐸 to explain himself. So 𝐸, you'll have an opportunity to respond to them in a moment if you'd like to. But everything else is now happening really quick as we have Lazar get struck in the leg by the air blade of Karina, which causes him to lose his concentration on his multiple illusions. They come and fall back into him. He tries to use time and space magic to pull himself back away from her, but she uses it to meet him, enhancing her speed and precision. Just as she gets up to him, I need another wisdom save from you guys. And it looks like Eretmir makes his roll, Don makes his roll, and 𝐸 makes his roll. Sir Mihail is captivated by the chaos that is ensuing around him. You guys see Serena start to speak again underneath her breath, just about the time that Gabriel steps into the stones and, I need a better word, and punches her in the back of the head with his gauntlet.
Wait,
Head
what?
slap? Maybe a head slap, like a...
Yeah, just goes up behind her and just decks her in the back of the head, laying her flat out off of the chair that she was in on the ground, which prevents her from casting a spell and gives Karina the upper hand to use her phantasmal blade and strike it through the chest of the Archon, killing him. Now, 𝐸, you are being shouted at frantically by people everywhere in the stands around you.
Right.
So
before...
I think I'm going to have to jump up and say, arrest you at this point.
Did Gavrail, when I yelled that and dispelled the magic, did Gavrail look back at me and then look in the ring? Or
didn't.
Acknowledge what I yelled?
No, he did not hear you. He was highly focused. I rolled this roll earlier. He was highly focused on what he was doing and stopping Serena, who you had said was casting.
Okay.
And right now, you have all the members of the Ninth and some among the Carrion Council as well, trying to grab him and pull him back off of her, who he just hit.
Yeah, and Mihail is going to have to jump to his feet, point at 𝐸, and say, arrest that man. Because from what I've seen, you just helped the Archon get murdered in an unfair fight.
Yeah, because you didn't see the primal magic being used.
No, I didn't see the vine.
Yeah.
I just saw you yell, stand up, and then cast magic. And next thing that happens is the Archon's dead. Because I missed the last 2 wisdom checks.
So I'm pretty sure Dawn saw everything all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
So Dawn will stand up and kind of touch Mihail on the shoulder and say he was returning back magic that did not belong there. Someone else was casting primal magic on the field and he removed it.
Assad's the last name, right?
Mm-hmm.
To Dawn.
Geronim is casting outside into the ring. I simply stopped it.
Where is Geronim? I haven't seen him at all on this map.
He's down with the council.
He's in the stones.
If you hover over him too, I feel like he could be Erdemir's brother.
That is true. I am just give an explanation here, 𝐸, on why you're saying Geronim was the one casting.
I would recognize it as primal magic, and well, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say Geronim. I guess I would assume it's Geronim, but it's primal, and it's coming from we're aware it's coming from the council. So whether it was his mother or him, one of them was again casting primal into that ring. My assumption is because Aurel was so hyper focused, he would have noticed her again doing it. So Gravale would tell me whether or not, would be able to say whether or not at that point in time it was her. just because he was watching her.
Okay, real quick, 𝐸𝐸. Who the hell are you talking about? Because you're saying 𝐥𝐸𝐤𝐵, but you're saying her.
Because he's
mother.
talking about her mother.
His
Sora.
mother's
Like,
on the
who-
Carrion Council. He's on the
The
ninth.
Ninth Council.
And
Yes.
both of them cast
But-
primal.
Both of them can cast primal magic.
I'm saying, I think he's trying to
You're
say
talking about 𝐥𝐸𝐤𝐵, and then you switched over saying Gavrail didn't notice her casting, or would have noticed her casting again when he punched her.
that
Because
𝐥𝐸𝐤𝐵's
Sorna
pronouns are
was
her.
casting.
No, sorry.
So you guys saw
Like-
Serena casting twice.
Yeah.
You guys never saw 𝐥𝐸𝐵 do anything. You saw primal
Well,
magic.
Did I not see 𝐥𝐸𝐵 casting? I thought I
No.
did.
No,
No,
we didn't
No,
know who
𝐥𝐸𝐵
cast the
hasn't done
primal.
shit as far as we know.
We just
Okay.
know there was primal. He just listed him as one of the potential casters of primal magic.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm just
My
trying
mistake.
to figure out who he's trying to blame, because he keeps bouncing back and forth.
I think he was saying either or was his
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
I thought I had rolled to see 𝐥𝐸𝐵 casting. That's my mistake. That's Jason's
Okay.
mistake.
I know this is all big about who was casting what, but what about the guy with the blade in his chest?
He's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Archon's dead, and 𝐸𝐸 had a hand in that.
Which, of course, then sets up 𝐸𝐸 𝐤𝐞 as being the new Archon of the city.
Yeah.
For the next 10 minutes.
Well,
maybe.
are there rules around the law with people interfering?
There are.
So we need to
What are the-
detain anyone who may have interfered.
What are the rules?
Yeah, what are the rules if someone interfered?
Well, you're not supposed
that-
to interfere. And so
Yeah, but if they
it-
do, does that void the results of the trial?
It may, but the previous Archon's dead. So it means that somebody is going to have to make a decision on who steps into that place, whether it's 𝐾𝐨 or whether or not 𝐸𝐸 gets to hold it.
Why would Kel make that decision?
Well, if 𝐾𝐨 steps into it because he's the son of the Archon, so does he move up in the Imperial family
Imperial
and become
family.
the Archon because he's the son of the Archon, or does it still stand that 𝐸𝐸 challenged and holds
Or-
the position?
Do the councils vote for another family to take control?
Or do the councils vote?
So yeah,
Or
Mihail's going to stand up, start calling for people to get arrested and detained.
Arrest that man! You get arrested! You get arrested!
Because there was definitely interference in the trial, and the results are inconclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Things need to be brought under control, and that's where Mihail is moving towards.
Arademir's just going to reach into his bag because he does still have another bottle of wine. Pull it out. Look to Don. Be like, want some?
Start handing it back and forth.
Yep. Hey, can't you like Challenger now?
Oh,
God
yeah.
won't let us.
Yeah, God won't let us.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let us challenge the original Archon. Nothing about the new one.
So this will be the question of how things start to unravel through here, which I imagine will give us a lot to talk about during the short rest on how you guys want to move forward from this point. As Sir Mihail, who oversees part of the military, and the Surtur, who oversees the military, starts calling for the arrestment, or to jail.
Detainment.
The detainment.
We're not
thank you.
arresting anyone. We're detaining them
The
for questioning.
detainment of several individuals among the council, as well as 𝐸𝐸 himself.
And 𝐸𝐸.
And 𝐸𝐸, if you guys are still meaning to hold her to trial.
Well, we
Well,
gotta
Zircon might want to
figure
hold
out
her.
what's going on. We already know 𝐸𝐸 wants to hold her.
I mean, you keep saying, but
Are you going to take some bandages over to her?
Yeah, we show appreciation around here.
yeah.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us here again. Sorry for the technical delays that we had, and this being a shorter episode, but we hope that you enjoyed. Tune in next week for our next episode, episode 10 of the Ninth Ascension. Hit the like button, subscribe button, and we'll see you guys all again next time.
In the realm of Eonar, nestled within the expansive tapestry of thrice 9 lands, The Gilded Age is coming to an end. In the coastal city of the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐤, ageless 𝐸𝐤𝐤ans, devout to the frozen witch, harness the power to wield the same energy that stitches together reality. Yet winds of change whisper the name of Volos, the Horned God. The Ninth Council rises, and our heroes, staunch Carrion loyalists, embark on expeditions to safeguard 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐤 history, while defending against their wicked enemies. The celestial dance of Marina's worshippers is disrupted by the growing shadow of Volos, and the imminent clash between the Carrion and Ninth Councils threatens to reshape the very fabric of 𝐸𝐼. Amidst this turmoil, our heroes navigate treacherous landscapes, from the frozen wastes where dragons roam to the hidden conclaves of the bloodthirsty skin switches. Each expedition reveals fragments of a forgotten past, hidden truths, and the intricate connections between 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐼 magic and the divine realms. As the 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐼ans grapple with the choice between allegiance to Marina or Volos, loyalty becomes a precious commodity. Our Carrion heroes, entrusted with preserving 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐼 heritage, face moral dilemmas, forge unlikely alliances, and confront the shadows that lurk within their own ranks. The world of 𝐸𝐼 awaits, a canvas painted with hues of enchantment and conflict. Will our heroes unravel the secrets that bind Thrice Nine lands, or will they succumb to the inevitable tide of a revolution? Brace yourself for an epic, episodic tale, where every choice resonates across the realms, shaping the destiny of 𝐸𝐼 itself.